Lighthouses stand witness to the maritime history of our Cape. Great towers that remind us of the shipping past, but there are other towers from our past. This is Riverbend Silo, the last vestige of Falmouth's 5 dairies that once provided milk to all of Cape Cod and even some of the South Shore. There aren't any more of these in Falmouth. It's the only ceramic silo we believe on Cape Cod and one of the few ones in New England. And we're hoping people will join with us and in the future make sure that our children can still come and see a silo on Cape Cod. Thank you. Here we are at Coonamessett Farm to find out why Ron Smolowitz feels we should save the silo. So Ron, why do you feel that the silo is worth saving?
Well, I believe that a community needs to be sustainable, and that means a community needs to provide its own food, its own energy, its own education, and it's very important to bring up the next generation, which means to have a complete understanding of where you've come from, culturally and ecologically. There's really no separation of people from their environment. They're one and the same. We've been living in the last generation or two sort of separated from our environment. People produce food from the land, and we're not doing much of that locally, but go back just 3 generations ago, and it was very important to produce food locally. Go back 5 or 6 generations ago, we were depending on herring from the rivers. We were depending on fish from the sea. We were raising sheep. There were hardly any trees in many parts of the community. People are losing track of that heritage, and they just know food is coming from a supermarket. We need to explain to the next generation, and generations after that, that we are a part of our environment. We need to sustain our environment. It needs to be kept as clean as possible. It needs to produce our food. It needs to produce our energy. And here we come along with the silo, and here's a indication of where we were in the past. We had our own dairy herds here in Falmouth, producing our milk and butter and cream, and we don't have that anymore. The milk comes in a container from the supermarket. Most people don't even know what silage is. It's important to instruct people on where food comes from, and ultimately I think it's going to be important to bring that food production back to the community. So to me, the silo is an extremely important vestige of the past, but it's also the pathway to the future, to get the community to understand about food production and to understand its importance. So that's the nexus I see with the silo. It's not just the ceramic brick that was technologically a major advancement that lived for a very short period of time before being replaced by concrete. But it's standing on an important piece of property in Falmouth, a piece of property that had a herring run through it, a piece of property that had mills, a piece of property that had dairy herds and cranberry bogs. These are all important components of our past, and we need to understand why they were here, why they disappeared, and why it's important to bring them back.
Thank you very much.